We often hear someone say when we're at large gatherings where we share a meal that this is a bit like feeding the 5,000. But I wonder if we can really ever appreciate and grasp the magnitude of that particular occasion. Most of us have read the account in John 6 about Jesus feeding the 5,000. It's a wonderful illustration of what happens when we give our all to Jesus. Crowds began following Jesus wherever he went, and as verse 2 explains it, because they saw the miraculous signs as he healed the sick. Now, Jesus was becoming quite well known, not just in his own community, but throughout the greater region. No one had performed miracles, wondrous miracles like this man, and no one had spoken with such authority like this teacher. We read that in Mark's Gospel, chapter 1. People everywhere want to be right there with Jesus, either to have the physical benefits, like the healing, the spiritual benefits, like hearing his word, the preaching, or perhaps the social benefits because it was the place to be. It was the most popular thing to do. Jesus was fully human, and he became tired, physically and emotionally. Having large and demanding crowds following him, no doubt that was exhausting. So he wanted to take some time out, went over the other side of the lake and up onto a hill. Wasn't all that far from where he preached the Sermon on the Mount. But that didn't work. The crowds followed him up the mountain. Jesus first saw that the crowd was hungry. It wasn't hard to recognise that, to realise that there were not food opportunities that we have today. And even if there were, where would anyone get enough to feed this magnitude of people? They were hungry. Jesus also recognised that these peoples had larger spiritual needs than just a one-off meal. Even though they didn't know it, they were following Jesus because their hearts were empty. Jesus also knew that the crowd's hunger and the timing of his provision would offer an opportunity to declare just who he was. He also knew that this would give him an opportunity to share his disciples, rather to shape his disciples and to shape their faith so that they could share their stories. This is a good reminder for us to have eyes like Christ, to always be on the lookout for opportunities to care physically and spiritually for those divine appointments that come along in life. So as this crowd gathered, Jesus turned to Philip and asked, "Where are we going to buy bread so that all of these people can eat?" Philip replied, in my translation, "Jesus, do you see the size of this crowd? We just don't have that kind of money. There's just no way that this is going to happen." But as it happened, Andrew found a young boy with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But then he added, "But what good is that with this large crowd?" There are many times in life when we think that what we do doesn't matter all that much. What we have is not worth all that much. We might wonder something like, what can I bring to Jesus? What can I offer to others? No one in the crowd would have thought that this boy was going to have enough in his basket for this whole crowd. This is what I'm trying to say. We will never know which little person God will use, indeed when or how. That means we're never just lost in the crowd, we're never without anything to offer, and we never know who the Lord will claim and then use in ways that we can't even begin to imagine. The Lord knows us all. He knows where we are, he knows what we have, and he knows how we can be used. He is the divine author over each and every moment. He can do eternally amazing things with the little fragments of our lives that we're carrying around and that we tend to think aren't worth all that much. Have you ever wondered what would ever have happened if that little boy had said, "No, this food is mine"? Well, he didn't. He selflessly gave his food, and Jesus did with it what only the Son of God could do. Christ did the impossible through an ordinary young man in the middle of a rather large crowd. Now, we know very little about this boy, but we do know that what he carried in his basket had bigger and longer lasting implications than he would ever have been able to imagine. We just never know what God will ask of us. We never know when he will ask it. We do not know ahead of time what will become, what will happen when he does. Oh, we can make a difference like that little boy. When he met Jesus and was listening to him and responding with all that he had. And if we do the same, listen and respond with all that we are and have, we never know what the Lord will do with those small bits and pieces and how he will use them to make a difference. That's just the way our God works. I think that it's worth thinking about.